I had been going through an extremely dark period of my life. I was like, had just turned 40, and I wasn't really sure what my place was in the whole universe. And so I had decided that I was going to kill myself. And I had it all planned out. And I had picked the day. Everything was scripted. It was perfect. I never mentioned it to anybody. And I started going through that routine, and I got a call from my mom. And this is right when I was getting ready to do the deed. I picked up, and she was like, what's going on with you? And she kept me on the phone long enough. So the police came, and I was taken to a hospital. And I was in kind of a holding area. And this little old lady came in, and she was holding this card. And she came up to me, and she handed me the card, and she was like, I think you need this. And I looked at it, and it was like the Mormon picture of Jesus on it. It's like Jared Leto and everything. But it was really nice. And she just looked at me, and she grabbed my hand, and she said, everything's going to be okay. And everything was okay. And I worked through it, and it was really hard. And it was like 2 years of like working on myself and having to be really honest with my family. And yeah, it was a beautiful thing.
You see that moment as like the pivotal moment that changed everything.
Something to live for.
Are you religious at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you at the time?
No, not at all. And I think I want to be that same person to do that for somebody else someday.
You kind of have an opportunity now, like you could talk to, have a pretty big audience.
Yeah.
So if you could say something to people who are maybe at where you were at the time.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Life is worth living. Just don't give up. Don't do that.
There's a stranger that comes to mind. This was 19 years ago. My son was 13 at the time, and he was being treated for a brain tumor at Johns Hopkins Hospital. And it was early on, and things were very, very up in the air as to what would happen with him. And on the day that he was to start chemotherapy, my husband came and relieved me in the hospital, and I went off for the morning with our younger son. And I just wanted to do something that would give him some fun and me some relief. And we walked into an arcade, and we lined up to get tokens. And there was a young man behind the counter. He said, "Oh, are you having a good day?" And I think my face just fell. He said, "What's going?" Oh, he said, were you coming from the hospital?" And I said, "How did you know that?" And then he said, "Oh, you're wearing a name tag." And I said, "Oh." And I said, "Yeah, my son's in the hospital." And he said, "He's going to be okay, right?" And he just got it. And he looked at me and he said, "What's your son's name? I'll pray for him." I just thought in that moment, what kind of life did he have, and what kind of background? Like, I just thought his mother must have raised him so well to extend himself this way to a stranger. I just wanted to leap over and hug him. It was just, he was young, he was a kid, he wasn't that much older than my son who was in the hospital. Our son ended up coming through the treatment and surviving this horrible diagnosis, and I always wondered whether that guy's prayers made a little bit of a difference. I'm of the Jewish faith, and I'm not religiously observant, but it was especially in that time that I felt that God worked through people, like that this was godliness. So I guess I believe in the goodness of people.
One stranger I still remember is some girl named Nikki, because when I first got with my girlfriend, I didn't have any money, and she paid for our food on our first unofficial date. So we were standing in line, and I didn't know my girlfriend at the time, so we were just making small talk. And we looked at the total. The total was like maybe like $10, and you just see me to go like, oh, like, so I take out like a $5 bill and like had like a lot of loose change. And she looks at me and she goes, "Don't worry, hun. I'll take over it. Like, you're good. You can put your money away. I know how it is to be young and in love, I guess."
How long have you been with your girlfriend for now?
Oh man, it's been 5 years now. So.
Is that her?
Yeah, that's her right there. Yeah.
So I noticed when you said, "Oh, I have someone," your girlfriend said Nikki.
Yeah, so like it's like that's just a moment, humbling moments, first moments and stuff. It's good. I really miss Nikki. I wish I could see her, but I really want to thank her because I wish she could see us now because we're both in a better place right now. My girlfriend graduated with the bachelor's and I'm 3 years into the Navy, so I wish she could see like that young couple. We grew up.
I would probably say my father, just because we didn't have a strong connection, and like I knew that he is my father, but we never had a connection, so I always felt like it was like a lost cause. So that would probably be like a stranger that I know.
A guy named Bob, which totally sounds like a generic name, but I stopped at a gas station, and when I came out, this guy was in my car trying to steal my stuff. This sounds like a crazy story, but it's a good story. I asked him what he was doing, and Bob punched me right in the face, and I threw my coffee on him, and we grabbed each other like a hockey game and just started going at it. And I'm a minister, and my Bible was on the ground, coffee all over it. These situations, you say corny, stupid things, and I was like, I'm a minister of the gospel. So he just stops. I was holding on to him, and we ended up talking. We thought maybe the police were coming. There were some guys working for the city early that morning with the vests on, and they're eating breakfast burritos, just laughing. Like, look at these, you crazy white boys. And found out Bob had just gotten out of prison, and he's like, I don't even know why I was in your crappy little car. I got my vehicle here. We just talked, and he ended up not wanting to leave. He asked if I could pray for him, and he introduced me to his girlfriend in his truck. He said, I don't know where I'm going to be in the future. I'm never going to forget this. He said, can I write my name down in your Bible? And so he wrote his name, Bob, and his last name. And I have never seen him again, but it was such a crazy experience. It made me just think a lot about your connection with people. Maybe nothing's real on the outside until you start talking, and then you realize that there's many points that we all connect on. And it kind of opened my eyes,
It was 2017, and I was the witness to a mall shooting. And chaos broke out. Everybody was running around crazy, and I was by myself. I was scared, obviously. And I ran into this man in the parking lot who said, come with me, I'll take care of you, I'll take you home. I was reluctant at first, this stranger man in the middle of a crazy shooting. I decided to trust him, and in one of the scariest situations of my life, this man, a complete stranger, took me into his car and he drove me home, and he got me home safely, and I never saw him again, but I never forgot him, and I never will.
I walk in the park about 4 or 5 times a week, and I'm writing a book on little vignettes of meeting strangers and those beautiful, quick connections that we have. So I remember a lot of people. I nod or say a quiet hello to many people, but I honor people's needing to be in silence. But I like to at least nod. I like to at least let somebody know that I see you, regardless of how they respond to me. I don't need someone to respond to me. But a man that I had seen for several years, he wasn't trying to connect to people. And one day, and it was at a Martin Luther King march, I was walking and he nodded to me. He saw my umbrella and I got a half a smile. And that smile, that half a smile, just warmed my heart that we could connect, because I think sometimes connections take lots of time and it doesn't always happen. But I don't give up on myself and I don't give up on others.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful how there's so many different ways to communicate with someone that doesn't necessarily have to be through words.
Yes.
And someone who answered this question off camera didn't want to get on camera. They gave such a beautiful answer. He said one time he was hitchhiking and he got picked up by a man and his son, and they didn't speak the same language at all. And he said for 2-3 hours they communicated without speaking the same language.
And of course I run into so many people in the park where I don't speak the language that they're speaking, and I have no problem understanding how we interact. One day there was a a family of many generations and an elderly woman in a wheelchair. And she finally lifted her head, and they stopped, and I stopped. And I just wanted her to know, in the midst of this beautiful family, that I saw her. And I got the most beautiful smile from a family member that was maybe 18 years old, that was so grateful that I saw who I think was their grandmother. But I have learned through life, never guess relationships, combinations of people. But I realized that it was as important to her as it may have been to the person who I was trying to connect to. So our connections aren't always with a particular person. That's where that light shines. We get swept in this beautiful feeling of love and community, and I felt that warmth.
I'm like so emotional right now because I think we were meant to meet today, and I'll tell you why. So you said you walk through here 4 or 5 times a week?
I do.
I have been doing the same thing for the past 5 years, and we've never run into each other.
Well, and I'm a early morning walker.
Okay.
And I try to walk before work. You know, once in a while I'll walk at the end of the day, and there's a whole different group of people. Right. And then once in a while, like today, I'm off, and I find that the rigidity of walking the same time, see this beautiful connection we would have never had early in the morning. Right. It's interesting. I know most of the people, the park rangers, all know who I am by my umbrella.
Right.
But I'm so glad and interesting that you picked that topic. It's
right.
Very close to my heart.
Mine too, and like I know the park rangers here too. They know me by my camera, and so
yes.
The other reason why I think we were meant to meet today is because So today's my last day filming in Balboa Park. I'm making it a point to go somewhere else.
Yes.
And I was like, just like emotional. I'm like about to start crying.
Well, and you just cried. It's okay. And tell me what your heart's thinking.
I'm not sad.
No.
I'm just like, I couldn't even tell you. I'm like a little bit nostalgic because I've just been, Balboa Park is so beautiful, it's hard not to like rely on it for what I do.
Yes, and see, that's why when I shared with you this little this is going to be a very small book because the beauty of the small vignettes. But the last chapter, I didn't want people to think that we couldn't make these beautiful connections in other places, just like you. So I too wanted to break down that we can have these connections all different places. It's easier to do it in beauty, but it really is done all over the place. I think that's good that you're moving to another location. I think that's good that you know that's important to be able to see these other examples in other places.
Yeah.
And I wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you. I can't thank you enough. You know how you were saying that you just like smile at everyone. I got rejected by like 5 people, and then I saw you smile at me, and I was like, all right,
maybe
she'll do it.
Yeah.
And then you were the first person to go today. I was about to not even come here today because I didn't. In a way, I knew I might get a little bit.
Yes.
Emotional, so I was gonna go somewhere else.
Yes.
But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make my last day at Balboa Park. So I always tell people that Balboa Park is so magical, and I don't think they actually understand like just what happened here today.
Yeah.
You know.
And see, my light shines brighter in the day after I've connected with people, beautiful people like yourself. I live by myself. My husband died many years ago. And so sometimes my first hello, even though I have a very full, rich life, is the strangers that I meet in the park. that's another reason I come.
Do you have any advice for me?
I think one of the things I'd like to leave you with is I'd like you to claim what a bright light you have. I get stopped a lot in the park for different reasons, and it was very easy to stop with you because your light was so bright. And I had not any idea, what the topic was or that we would ever relate on a topic that a lot of people don't even understand, and you're trying to get people to understand something that seems so easy for you and I to talk about. But I'd like you to know that you're going to bring that. You bring your light with you. There's plenty of yeses out there for you.